So I think we can get started. It's almost time. So a very warm welcome, Nicholas. It's so good to see you and have you as a guest teacher. I know we have exchanged many messages over the years. You're active on Facebook promoting Teacher Way, but it's a great pleasure to see you here.
Thank you.
Let me put you on the big screen. Yes, excellent. So, Nicholas, as a way of, sorry, can everyone please mute themselves? Sorry, hold on, mute, and then, okay, great. So, Nicholas, as a way of introduction, can you please talk about what brought you to Qigong? What was going on? Like, was it a health issue that motivated you to learn Qigong, and how long ago?
I have been always interested into the mysterious side of life.
Yes.
And at one point, I had health issues that proposed me to go deep into spirituality to find solutions. On this way, I met a healer that became my teacher. And as I went deeper by myself into energetical background, I desired to explore Chinese tradition and to experience what tradition proposed as reality to explore.
Yes. And living in France, is Jinan Qigong popular? Like, who were some of your earlier teachers, or did you study some other traditions before Qigong?
In France, we have the luck to have a really deep interest for Chinese culture for centuries. We have many very dedicated intellectual and practitioners through centuries that explored the tradition. But the name Qigong is quite new.
Yes.
And we have one teacher that appeared in 89. And we had another one that appeared later during the 90, at the end of the 90. And now there are more teachers that comes, and especially the harmonious big family that appear regularly during the year.
Yes, yes. It said on your write-up that about 11 years ago you met a teacher and you started studying consciousness with him. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was very interested to find a new way to understand my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I met someone that when I talked to him, it awake inside myself seeds of understanding and a light of clarity about what life should be and what life can be.
Yes.
So during 3 years, I explored with him how to use consciousness, firstly, to perceive energy and informations from backgrounds, from people, and how to transform this information and this energy when they are not harmonized enough to provide sufficient help to background or to people.
Yes, and then you also mentioned that you started to learn other therapies, massage, and other holistic modalities after the consciousness teaching.
Actually, when I decided to get involved into Chinese culture
Yes,
5 years ago, I started to study Chinese massage, to study acupuncture theory and traditional theories, and to study Yin and Qigong as a consequence of my search. I found Yin and Qigong on my way. It
yes,
appeared by itself.
yes,
And I found in Teacher Pang proposal for life and the way you open how our culture should evolve. I found into this a direct echo of what I experienced previously with my first teacher. I found a taste of something that needed to be created.
yes. And then you found your way to China. You went through teacher training. Was it last year, Nicholas?
Yeah, exactly. I had this very big opportunity and big luck
Yes,
to be able to do the 3 month teacher training last year
yes,
and to get involved into practicing, into teaching, and into sharing with people from all over the world every day.
yes, yes. Very good. So that was the 3 month teacher training, residential training in China that you went
Yeah,
through. Yes,
yeah.
great. Yes. And may I ask, like, what is your emphasis in Qigong? Like when you practice every day, what type of practices do you do? Like, what is your area of focus?
For a while, it's the second method, the second level.
Okay, the
That
body mind method. Yeah.
yeah,
Do you also work with students? Do you have clients that you teach? Are you a teacher in your city? Do you have classes of Qigong? Do you give workshops?
actually, I started this weekend.
Oh, nice. Amazing.
I had my first big class
Oh,
uh,
great.
yesterday
Oh, nice.
using the sound for the organ.
Oh, nice. Yes. The sound. Yes, great. Excellent. And then I think you said that you're planning on going again this year. I believe just next month, right? There's another teacher training.
Exactly, the 20th of March, a new teacher training start for 3 months.
Yes.
And I'm again lucky enough to be able to join them.
Yes, excellent. Yes. We have many friends in the Chi channel, including my friend Ellen, who has been through just a fantastic training. The Teacher Way provides residential training, different levels. Yeah.
Yeah, teacher Wei, teacher Shi, teacher Tao, and teacher Ling, and his husband and her husband, teacher Lu,
Teacher
organized.
Lee, yes. The the big harmonious family, yes.
Exactly.
Yes, all the powerful teachers. And then can you talk a little bit about your um, trying to spread the word about Teacher Way. I know you're very active on Facebook. Do you also work with his website and different ways in trying to promote Teacher Way?
Teacher Way is deeply touched by the fact that we should have online connection through practitioner to use consciousness to transform ourselves and the consciousness field.
Yes.
So this real want he has, I also feel it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to organize in Facebook and on YouTube spaces for people that want information, that want to share, that want to help each other, to teach, to study, to have material about Yin and Qigong, videos, texts, and every kind of material that we can find and share together, to have many spaces like this, to be able to have a networks where we can for myself, I think that we should be much more conscious that when we share consciously together as practitioners, and no matter if it's in Qigong or another practice, but when we use our consciousness to connect each other with an open heart, we are creating a new world. We are opening boundaries.
Yes.
We are creating peace and harmony for ourselves and for everyone that is present around and in the total universe, which is quite conceptual when it's said, but is it a direct experience that Yin and Qigong allow to experience by yourself at our own level?
Yes. Um, we actually have a question from Ishel. Ishel, I think it may be best if you can open your mic and just ask Nicholas directly. Thank you.
Sure. I'm following Nicola very closely, and thank you very much for all the work you are doing, Nicola. I'm learning a lot. And you've been recently sending information about Mr. Lao Shi Wei's some online classes about Ming Jue. Do I pronounce it correctly? And it is the state, I understand that it is the connected state, connected consciousness state. It is this ideal state that Dr. Pang was referring in his books, this pure consciousness state. But this term, I've never heard it in the books. I didn't notice. How is it different from this Hunyuan state, or what is its connection with Yuan Ti and everything? Can you clarify a little bit? Thank you.
Okay, we immediately enter into the living part of the subject. Ming Jue, it's Ming, if I'm correct, mean clarity, mean something clear. Jue mean to know. It's the idea of a direct, a clear knowledge. But we can translate as mindfulness, and other ideas that are around this concept of mindfulness way, neuroscientific way to understand the full capacity of a consciousness to be able to receive information.
Okay, so it's not being connected only, it's being able to access the information and get it from there. That state where we can access the information and sort of knowing state.
It can help to consider that consciousness can be like a mirror. If you present something in front of a mirror, even if it's something very complicated and that is always moving, lot of color, the mirror will just reflect it. The mirror will have no effort to do it. It will be just, the things is here, the mirror is here, and the mirror reflects. The Ming-Due state, it's the same. Information appear, naturally, consciousness knows. It's totally different from the perspective, the normal perspective of the mind to grasp information. In the Ming-Due state, it's a calm and deep state of consciousness that make the consciousness so calm and so still that, like a lake, can reflect naturally all the background around, have a whole picture of the total background, the total landscape, naturally. So it's not just the consciousness and the background at one point. It is that consciousness and background are the same. There are no boundaries. Just in density we can see a boundary, because I feel I myself and I feel there is a background. So I conceptualize a difference, which is true. There is a difference at my own personal level. But if I'm going deeper into a more subtle state, I realize that this difference doesn't really exist. And we can, in the same time, say that I am me and there is the background, and in the same time say, I am a total part of the background, and there is no such a thing as a background. There is consciousness that is conscient of the moment, and I am part of this and the background too.
Thank you. Very good explanation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Nicholas. To build upon this answer, can you, I know you have a teaching prepared, if you like to start your talk or your teaching.
Yeah, okay, sure.
That would be great, thank you.
I would like to talk about this subject, actually. It's often demanding to be clear about what is the chi field, what is the consciousness field. But actually there is something even more complicated, is what is matter. Because in our daily life, we don't know what matter. So every idea that I will propose when I talk about scientific idea, I will try to expose it very simply without specialized term. And all the scientific ideas are ideas from the mainstream. There are no side ideas from people that are not recognized, although they should be. It's just real modern science ideas that are part of what the mainstream thinks. when we talk about matter, we talk about atoms. Atoms made up everything. We cannot trust them. And if my thumb seems to be material, inside there are millions and millions and millions of atoms. Actually, if one atom of my thumb was big as a marble, the total thumb I have would be big as the Earth. Because there are so much atoms inside, and it will be very, very big if each atom were a marble. Big as Earth. And every material thing are made of atoms. Everything we are composed of, every matter around us, but include the sky around us. We breathe atoms. We eat atoms. And they compose everything in total different shape and density. There is something that I want to show it to you. I will share my screen for this. So I cannot see anyone, but I hope you can see me.
Yes.
Okay, we should be clear that what we are looking at here, this is not atoms. Not at all. Atoms are not at all something like marbles like this. It's not something solid. This common idea should be replaced by something close to this. This is actually quite close to what atoms are. This is one atom. What you see, the white sparkling, it's electrons. They are a field of electrons. And what is in the middle and that move to, it's the nucleus. It's the center of the atom. And all this is moving all the time, constant motion. Nothing is static, never. And everything in our body is composed with this. Everything in our body is composed of energetic field in constant motion. Everything. It should be clear that there is nothing such a thing as solid at a deep level in our body. Every molecules, every bones, every hard thing that we can feel in our body are made of energy that are all the time moving in. There is something else that our body is composed of. It's composed to 99.99999, and you can have 13 9 of empty space. 99.99999 of empty space. Actually, if we take off the empty space of all the body of humanity, you take every human, you take off the space that are the empty space that is inside, and you can put all the atoms that are still left into a big sugar cube. Just a sugar cube. All the rest is space. 99.9999% of space. So what our body is made of? Space, empty. And what is not space, it's what we see on the screen. energetic field in motion. And this is what science, modern science, actually states. This is well established knowing. But why do you feel that we are solid so? Why, if we touch our hand or we touch something else, we do not pass through? If we are empty space, we should. No, we don't. Because when our hand touch something, it's the electronic field that we see in white on the screen that is repelled. That's the electronic field of the object that we touch. Actually, atoms, they never touch anything. If atoms touch together, it creates an atomical boom, an atomical explosion. It's just electronic field that repel each other and give the sensation that things are solid. And it's a very concrete sensation, but it's just made of electronic field, energy field, and space. But actually, we observe that empty space, when we look at it a more thin way, is not empty. Does it remind you something? Empty but not empty? So a well-known Yin and Qigong concept. And actually, science agree on this. Everything that we consider all around us and all inside us as empty space is actually not empty. Scientists create calculation to try to provide an image of what empty space is made of. And it looks like this. What we see here, it's a very, very, very small part of space, very, very small. And what we see, it's energy of the empty space that is always changing. When it's red, the energy is dense. When it's blue, the energy is not dense. This is composing the space when we are at a very small, infinitely small level of observation, when consciousness is very thin. Empty spaces look like this. A chi field, an energetical field that is always in motion. What is this energy? When we consider this energy, we realize that the nature of this energy is the same as the nature of the energy that is at the center of an atom. We realize that the center of an atom is this energy on a condensed way. It's condensed, and when it's condensed, it creates the nucleus of the atom. When this energy is not condensed, it creates the energy of empty spaces. So what do we have? We have in a body constant motion of energy and empty spaces. But what do we have in these empty spaces? This same energy that is expanded into a huge, huge energetical field. As all the body is purely empty, as all the matter is purely empty, 99.99% of empty space, as the space around us is empty. This energetical field that we can see on the screen, this is the Qi field. One image of this. It's what we call the Qi field. When this Qi is condensed, it creates atoms. This is the Qi of the material form of the Qi. When this Qi is expanded, it creates empty spaces energy. Understanding this is the basic understanding of flat Qi. Open and close, condense, expanded. It's the basic understanding of the Dantian. First Dantian is the energy of the matter that is gathered. Yeah, of course. When the energy is condensed, it's a material Qi. When the energy is expanded, yeah, it's the Qi of the empty space, the second Dantian. What Chinese tradition says, science agree and explore it too. When the Qi gets more and more subtle at a very fine level, we reach out of the barrier of the mainstream, because we will talk about consciousness. And science doesn't really like to talk about consciousness. It's too holistic. But tradition has no problem about it. When the Qi gets really, really subtle, it's the state of the creative consciousness, Shen. We can see it in this very efficient scientific way to perceive it, the Tai Chi. In this context, the Tai Chi represents at the down, you have, in white, you have empty space. In black, you have the condensed motion. In white, you have the expansive motion. When the Qi gets expanded, it gets empty. When the Qi gets condensed, it gets more material. So at the down in the black, you have the more material state of the Qi. It's still Qi, but it's very material, and we name it matter. When the Qi gets expanded in the white Yang movement, the white movement that goes up, it gets expanded and more fine, more and more subtle. It transforms into the energy of the empty space. And at the highest white top, it's the energy of the consciousness, so subtle that it's consciousness. Shen, the creative consciousness, we can call it. And when this energy gets recondensed and go down on the black way down, it gets more and more condensed. There are less and less empty space that appear, let's say, and it gets down at the bottom down, matter again. This is the total motion of Qi that appear. Chinese tradition says under earth and sky, there is just Qi and the law. The law is the movement of the Qi, open and close, expanded, getting more subtle, condensed, getting more material, being material, getting expanded into empty spaces and getting subtle into consciousness and condense and back. And consciousness, this is the third dantian, inside the head. But this is the motion of the matter that exists, let's say, the chi that exists, that can be perceived as material even when it is very subtle. In a way, even when Shen is very, very subtle, it's still something that appears. There is a more subtle state that exists. It's not at the down, it's not at the up, it's not on the left of the Taiji, it's not on the right of the Taiji, it's in the middle of the Taiji. There is a state of unity that is not material chi, that is not empty chi, that is not consciousness chi. And we name it in the Yang Qigong original chi. This original chi is nothing material. It's no sensation. It's no physical. It's no consciousness as we can think consciousness in our normal activity. It's not thoughts, it's not concept, it's not idea. It is just the original consciousness that has one basic action, movement, let's say, which is the movement to naturally reflect information, so to receive information, and to send information. There is this basic movement that is the original movement of the consciousness. Original chi is a state. It's not an energy. It's a state of consciousness that can be experienced when the chi gets very subtle. If you want an image to try to have a concept of this, we know in the Yang Qigong that black holes in the universe are full of original Hunyuan Qi, original Qi. We know it because consciousness that experience the reality of black hole know that this quality, it's original quality. Science, in recent perspective, consider that black hole create matter and create energy in the universe. So imagine the thing that we experience the most, the matter, we think it's solid. But when in practice we start to move with this solid matter, we realize that the body is chi body. So we enter into the sensible state the Qi state, where the sensation of the energy get more and more concrete, more and more real. And as we go deeper into Qi, we realize that it's so fine, so subtle, but actually consciousness is leading the whole movement of Qi. Consciousness can think, Kai, or open, and the Qi follow. Consciousness going to one place of the body, Qi follow. So we realize that consciousness is directing the movement of Qi. Because consciousness is more subtle, more infinitely small reality. Although we cannot really separate them. It's not as if there is something that is isolated from something else. Everything that appears is made of Qi also, and made of consciousness. And as we experience consciousness more and more subtle, and more thin, where consciousness gets so subtle that we can experience the state of sleeping without sleeping. Kong kong kang kang huang huang hu hu state. In this state, we reach unity state. We reach a state where we can perceive original Qi because we are in a state of original consciousness. And as we stay and practice or live our daily life into this state, it gets more and more thin, more and more refined, and it naturally transforms our consciousness in a very deep and profound way. Structure of the mind, distortion of the mind, as we call distortion of Yin and distortion of the referential framework of all our beliefs, all our ideas. All the things that we think are real get harmonized. There is a deep process that clarify our consciousness process. All the consciousness content and information that we have can be transformed by the practice through original Qi. Naturally, we can find back all the sleeping capacities of the consciousness and body. We can find back natural state of health. And more essentially, we can find freedom because we find unity. This is it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very good. Good deep teaching. Very well explained.
Thank you.
Yes, I think we had a question from Cornelia. She was asking about the open close Lachi.
Yeah. So, Cornelia, so what do you want to know, Cornelia? want to know about Kai He, open and close? It's mostly Chinese word to say open and close. It's everything is contained into this. This is the essence, the foundation for beginners and for highly advanced practitioners into Yin and Qigong. This is the movement of the Qi. At every level, it always has this. When it expands, it's purer and purer and purer, more and more subtle and united, and disappear into empty spaces, in consciousness, and into unity with everything. And when it recondenses, it joins and gather and recondense into a material state. And then it's Kai, open again, and join again. And in this movement, we go from material aspect of the lower Tian Qi to unity of the whole universe, the total expression of life.
Nicholas, can you talk about, have you thought about this subject? How does healing take place? How do we use our consciousness in healing?
We greatly depend on your level of practice. If you are a beginner, it will be interesting when you heal someone. For example, you heal a liver, and it will help to have a clear view on the physical aspect of the body of a person. You have a clear view of this physical aspect, and we will propose in the Yin and Qigong to use, for example, La Qi to open and close on the liver. At the Qi level, you see that there are many hands that open and close, and you gather very pure Qi and you transform the liver. And okay, very good. At another level, at a consciousness level, we can consider that to heal, it's not about the physical aspect of the body. It's about the structure of the body and mind. In this perspective, we understand that there is something that is not harmonious between body and mind for a reason and another. So to heal, we just enter into an entirety state with the universe, and we will send Qi to the person. And we are the healer, we send Qi and we harmonize everything. And there is the Mingzhui level of healing where we don't care about the disease. There are no problems. The person is not ill. And there is no healer. We just enter into a consciousness state, an entirety state, and into this state, we harmonize with everything. That includes the disease. That includes the problem. And at one point, the problem is no more a problem, it's a part of the situation that appears. And as it's no more a problem, there is a natural movement of harmonization that makes possible the flow of consciousness, the flow of unity, Qi, to make the problem disappear. And no one did this. It just happened.
Yes, very good explanation. If there are no more questions, Nicholas, would you like to move on to the practice part? Lead us through the practice?
Yeah, with pleasure. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
So it's okay with everyone for all the secret of the universe. Everyone understood. And Einstein, the physicist, used to say after a class he gave, "If you understood me, I explained it very badly." And I think it's the same for us. Hopefully, comparing to applied science, there is a question. How can we handle the much young energy in the consciousness? What do you mean, Dimitri? Can you rephrase it? And you can open your mic to say it.
Yes, hello. How
Hello?
can we handle the much conscious mind from all the people, mostly from me, but I feel the much young energy is very dominant. And how can we balance the yin and the yang more to find inner peace to reach our goals? To have more contact with your yin and yang energy in your own mind, body, and heart, to be more peace for yourself and to others.
But firstly, there are no definitive answer to this question. The answer is very personal to yourself, and you have to find it by yourself.
Yes.
But there are many proposals that are made by experience of people that did it, hopefully. And many people did it through centuries and 1,000 years. Basically, we can understand that if yang qi goes too much into the mind, it's because the qi is not enough stabilized into the lower dantian. If qi is abundant enough into lower dantian, the qi naturally, you can imagine it as gravity. If lower dantian is my hand, and lower dantian is dense of qi, has a lot of qi, naturally the yang qi will be like the sky around the earth. It will be attracted, and it will be in gravitation around the earth. Yang qi is this sky, and yin qi is this earth. If in lower dantian the qi is strong, yin qi is strong, yang qi will naturally be attracted and will not go up to the head. Level 1, lat qi, wall squat. Wall squat especially is interesting with also with free center merge to open lower back, because when lower back is open, it's more easy to have abundant qi of lower dantian.
Yes, thank you. Very good explanation. Yes, very good.
Okay. Something else?
Any other questions? Last chance.
Yeah, Michelle?
I have a question, but maybe Nicola, when you do lead us the practice, you might give us a sense. How can we integrate this original chi state in our practice? Is it more of a meditative state, or can we do it with the movements of with the practices of Yin and Qigong? Is it more of a meditation type of work to stay in this original chi state, original consciousness?
I think that the main point to answer to this, it's probably the more surprising point. We are born like this. We have nothing to achieve.
I can hear very low. The sound comes very low.
We are born that way. We have nothing to achieve. We are into practice. We are into the want to develop and transform ourselves. But the reality is that we just are the original consciousness. We doesn't have to deserve it. We doesn't have to gain it. We doesn't have to do something to have it. We have to stop to involve ourselves into complicated mind process to understand and to experience reality. The more we will be able to clarify our mind and clarify our heart, would be the way to access to this so simple aspect of ourselves that we want more. It's so simple. It's so without interest, so empty, that we are not satisfied with it. And we look for something. So in every way that we want to do it, in every practice in our daily life, we should just find our own personal way to let go so deeply that we stop to stick to our body sensation, to stick to chi sensation, to stick with mind activity. And ultimately that we lose ourselves. We start to sleep without sleeping. It seems to be the way that Yin and Qigong proposed to realize it. And it can be done in every aspect, in every type of practice and meditation.
Thank you. It was an enlightening reply. Thank you.
We have another question in chat. Nicholas, if you would like to take a look, please.
Yeah, okay. I suffer from electromagnetic. I don't know. I never experienced it, except when I call with my phone and I say to myself, oh, I will burn my brain if I go on. But for me, it's a joke, but for you, it's not, I know. And at the last Dali retreat that Harmonious Big Family gave There is a woman that was suffering from high level of hypersensibility to electromagnetic field. She's from Israel, and now she's getting much, much better. Perhaps you can enter in contact with her, and it will be helpful to share with her, and perhaps she has some answer for you.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions? Otherwise, we will move on to the practice portion.
Okay. So, what time is it? Today I want to propose you to share the practice that Chawei proposed 2 weeks ago to explore the Ningzhui state. It's a practice based on sound. There is no movement. So you can find the position you like and just be relaxed. You can be laid down, you can be seated, you can be stand up, pre-center merge, no matter. Be in a good position you like. And we will explore 2 sounds. The first sound would be Shen Ji. Shen, like the creative consciousness. I call it like this, but we can have many other names. Shen Ji. Ji like the letter. Ji means supreme, supreme, utmost, and Shen, creative consciousness. So the supreme creative consciousness. So we will call the Shen Ji. Shen, and we will repeat like this. Shen Ji. Shen Ji. Shen Ji. I think that many people already experience this with Teacher Wei and with other teacher. It's a very interesting way to explore and to make upper Tiantian very abundant. As we will pronounce it, consciousness will be, we will pay attention to upper Tiantian, to Shenji Palace, inside the upper Tiantian. And we will experience sensations. The second sound will be the sound shu. Shu, 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 shu. It means empty. Because the purest consciousness is totally empty. So at first we will say Shenji for a while, and we will say it more and more slowly, more and more with a low voice, more and more inside. And at one point I will propose you to pass to Shu. If during the practice you have sensations that are not comfortable with, you can stop staying and relax. You can just enjoy the moment, and okay, you come back then and take your time to breathe. take your time to relax. We cannot do anything else than relax and be empty. So just let go. Okay. No question? Good. So we will now close the eyes. And pay attention to the moment you are experiencing. Look inside the head, like if you look at the eyes inside. Smile to the inner corner of the eyes. And naturally, Yin Tang Shangan open. Relax the jaws. Look at the throat and the neck. Throat and neck relax and get empty. Look at shoulders, elbows, wrists and fingers. Arms get empty, full of chi. Look at the chest, the inside, the upper back. Inside the chest, it's empty space, full of chi. It's totally shu, totally empty and open. And naturally, chi of the universe enter into the body with nothing to do to create it, with nothing to imagine. Just let go and relax. Feel the abdomen, the lower dantian, the lower back, relax. The abdomen, relax. Feel the belly button, tuchi. The belly button open to the chi of the universe. Feel Mingmen at the back. Mingmen open. Mingmen open the chi of the universe. Feel the waves. Very deep the waves. How deep? Yin, center of the perineum, slightly closed up to inside the vast space of the dantian. Up to the top of the head, Pai Hui. Pai Hui lift up, touching in slightly. All the spinal tap gets expanded. Pai Hui, relax. Open. Pai Hui and all the upper tension open and relax. And naturally, she enters into upper dantian and into the body. Look at the central line, the middle line of the body. Pyrrhea at the top, very bright, very clear and open. Look at playing down at the center of the perineum. Relax. Feel the legs, the hips. Relax and open, full of chi. The thighs. Relax and open, full of chi. The knees totally open and expanded. The calf, relax, empty, full of chi. The ankles, relax, empty, open, full of chi. The feet, Yongchuan at the center of the feet, open. The legs, totally empty chi. Open into the universe. Look at the chest, the arms, empty arms, open in the universe. The arms, open and let go in the universe. Empty arms, welcoming arms. All the body, empty chi body. Open in the universe chi. Empty. The skin open. We merge together, art to art, mind to mind. The chi reality is our common reality from matter to consciousness. Originally, we are the same chi. Let go to experience at your own way. Trust yourself. Trust your experience. Trust your art. And relax. Open. Expanding the universe. Pong, 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 pong. Pong, 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 pong. Consciousness come back into the head. We will say Shanti together. Breathe in, Shanti, 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 Go on to say Shanti and feel inside the air. Feel the subtle movements that are created when you say Shanti. The more subtle movement you observe, the clearer the consciousness will become. The more focused the consciousness will become. Continue and lower the volume with the thin voice and Chanjipalas merge in all the upper tensions. All the essays merge with Chanjipalas. Now say it in a whisper. And feel deep inside of your tension. Deep inside, the space is getting purer and purer. Open the space with relax more and more deep. We are inside the universe, and constantly the universe chi is gathered inside consciousness, inside chi body. Say it with a low voice. Heart to heart, we support together. More and more tranquil, more and more quiet, more and more pure, conscious. Now say it with no voice. The mouth still moving, but no sound. All the bodies in the universe say, conscious universe, but now just think, Shanti. Slowly, all body sensation disappear. Very fine chi sensation, conscious sensation appear when you think Shanti inside. Now perceive before to think Shanti, you have the motivation to say, you have the intention to say. Perceive this intention. And just say with this intention to say it, you have the intention to say it, and Shanti appear in your consciousness naturally. Now stop to say Shanti. We already achieved a deep interest. We will pronounce with a very low voice, she, go deeper in empty state. Now say she silently with no voice, just no breathing. Now just think, get into the head, conscious universe, into the throat, conscious universe, into the heart, conscious universe, into the chest, conscious universe, the lower tension, conscious universe, lower tension, legs, conscious universe, all the body is a conscious universe. Just stay for a while into this state. And just stay, feed your heart. Feel your arms and hands. Slowly move your arms and make enter the chi inside by moving them. And put your palm to all the chi ball in front of the belly button. Then cover belly button, palm inside lower panty. Shishan panty. Everything everyone experienced in this moment is gathered and harmonized into panty. Stay for a while. Now, join your palm in front of your heart. Now, first your hand. With every being that are present into this big universe, conscious universe. All the being present here and now, with us, supporting each other. May all the being open, and our practice to serve everyone, to live in harmony, in peace, in original chi, in original consciousness as one. We will say one time Yin and Yang. Breathe in. And thank you for sharing this beautiful deep moment.
Thank you, Nicholas. Very beautiful practice. Thank you so much. If you like, friends, you can open up your mic, talk to Nicholas, thank him if you like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicholas. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you.
Oh.
Very good, easy, beautiful explanations about what is Qi.
Thank you, Nicholas, for your wonderful energy.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, everybody. Hunyuan Lintong.
Thanks, Nicholas. Hugs. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Love and healing.
Yes. Thank you.
Enjoy the mountains
Thank you very much.
and the teachers, everything.
Yes.
So, Shali, thanks, Shali.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicholas. Very good explanation, very clear. And thank you, Amir.
Oh,
Thank you, everyone. Very deep meditation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. I think it was the first time we heard a scientific explanation of Qigong. Very beautiful.
First time a French, first time a scientific explanation.
With the beautiful diagram. Yeah. Every time I will do open close, I will remember. Yeah.
Yes. Me too. Me too. Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Nicholas. Huge hugs to you, my friend.
Ah.
Okay, take care, everyone. We meet again next Sunday. Thank you very much, Nicholas. So kind of you to make time. Such a pleasure to meet you and to have you give a talk and lead a practice.
Great.
Yeah.